I was thinking about an exercise. There's a teacher and student, I guess, in all of us. But something that I wanted to share with you is an exercise, a learning exercise, or sort of a, if you want to think of it as self-discovery, particularly with your children. If you're a mother, yourself. If you're a guy, you can do it yourself. Do it with your girlfriend. Okay? Do it with your children, your family. You'd be surprised what happens when you do these kinds of things, to really open up your heart and open up your creative imagination and realize what's really possible, so that you're not held captive to somebody else's consciousness or some other system in which you realize, man, I'm being held captive to that, when it is, look how much power I have within my own creative imagination. And you begin to gain, if you will, a perspective, a different perspective of who you are and the relationship you have with everything else that is, right? So one of the exercises I used to suggest, and I've done it myself, and I realized how effective it is, okay, and helping to self-reinforce and remember who I am in a system that is essentially trying to hold us captive, okay, either to technology or to things that we get presented with that are trying to capture our attention, okay, and hold our attention to distract us from the things that we can do for ourselves, okay, to be more powerful in spirit and realize we have a lot more freedom and liberty, if you will, to be the author of our own story as we the people, self-governing, self-rule, self-love, love is the law kind of stuff, right? And that is to, and this is what I do, I'll go down to, a store where I can pick up, say, 3 or 4 spiral books, right? That got maybe 150, 200 pages in each one, or a thick binder, okay, that might have 600 pages in it, and then just set some time aside for yourself. Now, for me, I go outdoors to do this, where the energies are high and I'm not going to be distracted, where it's just me and nature, okay? A place that's beautiful, in the woods, on a beach, all by yourself, where you have your own free time to contemplate, meditate, go deep in your heart, in your creative imagination, and then just start writing and ask yourself, write about the universe that you would love to experience, the one that you live in, the one that you would create yourself. What would that be like? Describe that to yourself, right? So you're describing as the author of your own universe, which is a universe that your mind and your spirit is living in, because you're the author of what that universe is going to be like that you're going to share with yourself. So essentially, this becomes like the bidirectional mirror of the projection and the reflection of the energy that you're using, okay, to experience projecting yourself into that story with those characters or whatever you want to write about, whatever comes to your creative imagination. And just begin writing about it. If you want to use pencils, colored pencils or crayons, and start coloring in little pictures to represent what the scene looks like that's in your mind with the story that you're telling, that you're creating as you go, you can do that as well. This is really just opening up the creative, artistic expression that is within you that you have to project onto paper. Now, you obviously can use a lot of other things that you can use to do that. A lot of artists will sculpture. A lot of artists will paint a painting, okay? They'll find some way in which they're thinking about something they're creating about the world that becomes symbolically represented by an artifact. Something that they carved out, for example, like what they do in Hawaii. They'll take a coconut tree and carve it out. Some guys are really good at that with chainsaws, okay? And then stand it up much like the way that a totem pole would be, right? So in other words, art can express itself in an infinite amount of ways in which it's symbolically represented rather than manifested, okay? But what it does do is allow you to be able to realize just how powerful your own creative imagination is, because what comes out of your imagination is unlimited. And you begin to realize that when you begin to be not distracted by anything or anybody else, and now you're solely on your own to write your own story or use your own artistic expression, and then just imagine and then build on whatever that is and tell that story. And then you can share that with your children or your loved ones, your family, your husband, your boyfriend, and vice versa. And make it an enterprise and begin to realize that we're all creator beings and that we're all the authors of our own story. What kind of a universe do we want to live in together? And imagine what happens when you have a neighborhood that's doing that together. Make it a community exercise once a week. Meet once a week and share these things with each other. Begin to realize, hey, we've all been held captive to somebody else's story. Their narrative, as they say. No. We're going to write our own civilization. We're going to write our own way, okay, to have a new beginning, which is the beginning of the end of the last one. It's gone. So we have the power of our creative imagination. So those are some of the exercises that I always use, not just as therapy within my own self, but particularly with children. Because when children begin to realize they're the author of their own story, they're going to say, hey, to other people trying to control their consciousness, or say, listen, this is how you're supposed to live according to my rule book. Well, there's only one rule in the universe, which is love is the law. That's the first law. All the birth giver mothers that I've ever met know this. Anyway, I thought I would provide that as a suggestion because it's very helpful. I know that I've means tested it. It works with me, and I've seen how it works with children. And it's very powerful. I call it self-discovery, doing the inner work. Anyway, I'll leave you all with that. Have a great day. Bye now, and be good to yourself.